Welcome, grammar screencast enthusiasts, to grammar tutorial on Mr. Fantastic for the SAT 2. Mr. Fantastic deals with those areas we don't want to deal with, namely the morphology primarily of the subjunctive. So everything you need to know about the use of the subjunctive, all in a nutshell. Remember, the subjunctive does not signify tense directly, only in indirect question clauses and cum and dum. Otherwise, it's a middling ground between the indicative and the infinitive. So let's look at the present subjunctive. The present subjunctive, as you can see, is dominated by A's. So it'll be the nominal endings of M.St, mustus, unt, with an A connective with first conjugation and fourth and 3I. Now, except for the first conjugation, then you end up with the forget you E. Just because it's A already, it switches to E just to say forget you. Then when we look at the subjunctive passive with the endings of ris, ter, mer, mini, unter, you have the normal obscene A. And then, of course, the forget you E. Let's look at the imperfect subjunctive. Imperfect subjunctive is really very regular because it's just the present infinitive with the person endings of st, mustus, unt. And there we see the imperfect subjunctive active. Notice the irregulars also quite regular because it takes the infinitive esse, posse, welle, nole, male, and ire from ao with the proper endings. Let's look at the passives. In the imperfect subjunctive would be the same. They're not in the tutorial, but they're the same as the actives, except ris, ter, mer, mini, unter. Perfect subjunctive, which looks just like the what? Well, in the active, it looks just like the plu future, except for the first singular. Instead of ero, you see a rim. But you see the same ideas. Perfect stem plus, so laudau plus erim, eris, erit, erimis, eritis, erint, etc., etc., etc. Now, for the pluperfect subjunctive active, you see, you take the perfect stem, perfect infinitive, lauda wisse, vidisse, misisse, kepisse, adivisse, and fuisse, plus the endings st, mustus, unt. Well, those are the actives. How do you do the passives? You form the passive through a paraphrastic. A paraphrastic, therefore, you take the participle, and then you add it to the proper form. If you wanted to form a perfect subjunctive passive, you'd form it with the present subjunctive of the sum verb, sim, sis, sit, sim, sit, sint. Or if you wanted to create the pluperfect subjunctive passive, you'd create the perfect participle plus a form of sum in the imperfect indicative. That would give it its past tense marker, now, paraphrastics are normally, generally speaking, you'll take, for the indicatives, you'll get the tense from the sum verb. That's what the sum verb's purpose is tense. Remember, the perfect participle is merely perfective and passive, having been praised, having been seen. But when you put the sum verb with it, that's where you get your tense. So it's perfective present. I have been praised, I have been seen, or I was praised and I was seen, since the simple past is the same as the perfective present. If you wanted to form the pluperfect, you'd just put the sum verb in past tense. Then you shift it into past. Perfective, passive, past. And then if you wanted to create the plu future, you would use the sum verb in the present, in the future, So therefore, perfect participle, perfective, passive, plus the tense of the sum verb, which is future in this case. Here's a nice chart of all that would mean that it would equal. So therefore, if you wanted to create missos eram, I had been sent, missos sum, I have been or I was sent, and missos ero, I will have been sent. Moving forward, if you wanted to create the perspective, you'd use the urus construction plus sum. Urus is perspective aspect, and then your sum verbs gives it that nice tense. So missurus eram, perspective active, past. I was going to send missurus sum, perspective present, active present. I am going to send. And missurus arrow, perspective future. I will be going to send. Now, for the so-called future passive participle, also known as the unda, to create the gerundive of obligation. Remember, this participle with the sum verb creates a debitive aspect, must needs be, and therefore it's passive as well. So you get your past tense, missun mittendus eratm, I was needing to be sent, mittendus sum, debitive present, I am needing to be sent, or mittendus ero, future, I will be needing to be sent. So that takes care of the paraphrastics. Talk about deponent verb forms. Deponent verb forms are verbs that are passive in form but active in meaning. They do have a little bit of an odd participle you should be aware of. Because they are deponent, they only have 3 principal parts, and they are listed in the glossary with the passive form. Or, common words, adipiscor, conscipor, obtain or get sight of, ingredior, enter, profiscor, set out, precor, pray, regredior, return. That takes care of that for deponent verb forms, as well as everything you need to know in Mr. Fantastic Grammar Tutorial for SAT2. Please read the tutorial at the bottom of the page if you're of the queer class, if you're having trouble. If not, happy hunting, and until next time, vaya con Dios.